All right. So in today's webinar, we are going to focus on foundation and mindset that you need before you start teaching English online. This is the most important thing because I've seen people, many people starting strong, get excited for a few weeks, and then they quit halfway through. And it's rarely because they're not capable. It's because they started with the wrong mindset. So I believe it's a very important thing. So whether you have never taught English before or you're already doing it part-time, this session will help you see where you fit in, understand what is possible, and then start building your path or a path that truly works for you. So in the next 30 to 60 minutes, we're going to see where the online English demand comes from, who is hiring and why, what's changing in the English teaching world right now, and how to deal with imposter syndrome and how to plan your income so you can earn consistently without feeling exhausted or burning out. Okay. So I've had this question before. Most people are asking me, why am I doing this? Why am I giving tips? Why am I doing free webinars like this? Unlike other online gurus, I have I don't earn my money from teaching other people how to teach English. I have a very steady English online teaching business, and I feel like my cup is full right now, and that's why I want to help others start their journey, share my experience and all that. Okay, so um, my my mouse is misbehaving. I often get this question. I often get asked this question a lot. How experienced do I need to be to start teaching English online? So I'm gonna get a bit philosophical here. Um, I started teaching English during my last years of university. This was around 2015, 2016. And over the years, what I've realized is teaching English is not, or teaching language in general is not about the technical side. Sure, the grammar, the pronunciation, the slides, lesson plans, all these matter, but that's not what makes someone a great language teacher. The real skill actually comes from, life itself. So it's the conversation you've had, the challenges you've faced, and the moment you had to listen, adapt, or find the right words to connect with someone. Because teaching language, so like I said, it's not about rules, it's about helping other people express themselves. So if you're good at expressing yourself, definitely you're gonna be able to help others express themselves. So every experience you had, whether it's working in another field, living in abroad, or simply just overcoming your own fears, this is gonna this experience shaped how you communicate and the way you're gonna help others communicate. So as you can see from my journey, I graduated as a civil engineer, and then I went to the engineering industry, and then I moved back to teaching English, and then I did a couple of things in between, and then I opened my language school at some point. Then it failed, and then I went to real estate. Then finally, I decided to start building my online teaching brand. So you can see all this experience have helped me become a good language coach. So it's not about the technical side. Yes, it's important, but That's not the only thing you need. Okay. All right. Now, if we're gonna zoom out a bit, and it's always important to see the big picture before you move. Let's say if you want to sell mboga in a certain area, kama unataka kuwa mama mboga in a certain area, you have to really understand the market of that place before you get into anything. This is like the any foundation of starting a business, right? You have to really understand the market so that you can position yourself well. Okay. So today, as we speak, over 2.5 billion people are learning English around the world. And that's nearly like out of every 3 people in the planet, either one is studying English or using English in some form. Okay. The global English market alone is valued at 17.6 billion, and this is 23% of the total English education market, and it's projected to grow to 25 billion by 2030. So I'm showing you this number because you might ask yourself, is there really a market for online teaching? So the question with this number, the real question is, how are you going to position yourself to capture your share of it? Okay. So where does this demand come from? If we look at the demographics, you see the Asian market is by far the largest, making up like 60% of the global demand. Countries like China, Japan, India, they lead in this segment. And then the next is the Latin America, with around 25% of the demand. This is led by Brazil and Mexico. And finally, we have the Middle East and Europe, which make up the remaining 15%, which include Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. Okay, so Russia also, these parts of Eastern Europe. So it's truly a global demand, whether you decide to teach in Asia, in Europe, Eastern Europe, there's a market there. For me, I just focus on only one market, and this is the Turkish market. And I've been able to create a sustainable business there. So it doesn't matter where you position yourself. Okay. If we look where the motivation is coming from, you see that 45% of people are learning for professional advancement. Okay. They need English to get promotion, to join multinational companies, or to do business internationally. So in fact, studies have shown that English proficiency can increase salary potential by 20 to 40%. I have experienced this with some of my students. Just simply they increase their English proficiency or their English level, they're able to also automatically increase their salary. Okay, so that's important. Another 25%, they're studying English for education purpose. So it's required, English is required in some universities for admission or study abroad programs and international scholarships. So let's say somebody who lives in Turkey wants to go and study in the UK or in German, they have first to do an English proficiency exam. And then if they passed, when they go there, since they're going to international universities and the language, the academic language there is in English, they have to learn English. Okay. And then there's a 20%, they're learning for personal growth. Okay. They just want to travel, they want to understand the global media, or simply they want to take a personal challenge. I have a student who is 60 years old and he's at the peak of his career. He doesn't need English for his career. So he just is learning it for just for as a personal challenge for himself. Okay. And then there's another 10%, which are motivated by immigration or relocation. So these people are moving to English-speaking countries for better opportunities or family reunification or new start. So when we step back and look at this bigger picture, English is no longer just a language to learn. It's a vehicle of transformation for careers, education, personal development, and freedom. So English is a tool. Okay. All right. Before we move on, I would like to ask you a simple question, and you can answer it on the chat. Now that you've seen how the market works, which market would you like to focus on, and which segment would you like to focus on here? Would you like to teach professionals, or would you like to teach people who go there for education or for personal growth or for immigration? You can write that on the chat. This also gives me time to drink some water. Yes. Mhm. Yes. Mhm. Why can I not see the chats? Okay. Okay. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes. Europe and professionals. I like to teach professionals. Great. That's good. Okay. Now, um, yes. So also there's a demand, um, Asian and professionals. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I'm having issues there. Okay. So also, English, the demand is not always, doesn't stay always stable, like across the year. It changes from month to month. There are times that when there's a higher demand, people are registering for English courses. And then there's a time that the demand is low. You find few students registering for English courses. So it's good to know this demand cycle so that you can prepare yourself. If you're relying on English teaching income, it's good for you to really understand how the demand cycle works so that you can prepare for yourself. As you can see from this graph, usually we can start here where we are right now. From September to November, the demand really is high. So a lot of people are registering here for English. This is the peak season. And there's a reason for that. It's because now I don't know how the semesters usually start in September in most countries. Okay, so winter is starting here, and then the academic year is starting from September all the way to January. So people are registering at this season because they're looking for something to do, something new to do during the winter season. Also, there's something called the Black Friday, like in this month, the Black Friday thing is going to happen. So in November, there's a lot of promotions. You'll find language schools or language platforms. They're giving a lot of, they're giving good promotions. So it's sensible for students to actually register in this period. Then in January also to Feb, around somewhere Feb, April, there's also a high demand, especially if you're teaching IELTS. IELTS is an exam that people need to do so that they can study abroad. Okay, it's an English proficiency exam you do if you want to study in universities in America, UK, Australia, even in some parts of Europe. So here Usually students are registering for IELTS because they want, before the summer, they want to pass this exam and they want to register in those universities. And then towards August, you'll find that the demand is less because now here people are taking, there's a summer break, they're traveling, they're doing other sorts of activities. So usually the demand here is goes down and then it spikes again. So this is how the year works. So if you can plan according to this, you won't have those then months. Okay. So the right time to start actually is now. Platforms are hiring, schools are hiring. So if you're thinking of starting, you shouldn't wait until this month's finish. You should start right now because they will be hiring and taking new teachers and so forth. Okay. All right. So what's the future of English? Let's look at this trend. All right. So the remote work revolution. Before 2020, only 7% of the global workforce worked remotely. After the pandemic, the number jumped to 35%, and by 2030, more than half of all knowledge workers will be able to work remotely. So what does this mean for English teachers or online English teaching? It means that more people now need English for international remote positions, and they're more flexible. They can learn at any time of the day. It's not like before the pandemic, people used to go to their offices and they would have to finish the work and then come home. If they're taking language courses, they'll take it in the evening. But now, since they're working at home, they can take it anytime. This has really shown a huge increase in the online English teaching market. And most importantly, now they're willing to invest because they can work from home and they can get opportunities in abroad. So they're willing to invest in English teaching because of their career. All right. The other trend is the platform technology. So think about how much simple it has become to start teaching online. In 2010, you needed your website, you needed a payment system, you needed a marketing strategy. But now in 2025, you can create a profile on a teaching platform, and then you can start teaching within 48 hours. For example, now, if you want to apply Preply or Camly, they can accept you within 48 hours, and within those 48 hours, you can find students already, okay? So the barrier of entry is now almost to zero. Anyone with skills and consistency can build a career online. And then the third trend, the emphasis of native speaker requirement. So in 2015, 80% of teaching platforms only had native speakers. And by native speakers, I mean people from UK, US, Australia, and these kind of countries. So they would not consider Africans as native or Kenyans as native, even though we learn English from a younger age, they will not consider us. So, but by now, by 2020, that has dropped to 60%. So only 60% of the platform are asking for native. The other, what remaining 40%, they don't care, okay? So what has changed? The learners care less about accent and birthplace, and they care more about teaching quality, empathy with the teacher, and results, okay? They don't care about accents anymore. So this is an incredible opportunity for teachers worldwide to step forward with confidence. The other trend is AI. At the beginning of the year, I was asking myself, um, will AI replace English teachers? Because if you look online now, you found a lot of softwares, a lot of uh, avatars that can actually create, even if you go to ChatGPT now, if you ask it to act as a teacher, an English teacher, and practice with them, they can actually do that. But that's not the case. And the studies show that AI will not actually reduce the demand for online teachers. It's actually going to increase and even make things better for online teachers. So it's going to take the boring parts of teaching English, for example, lesson uh, planning. This was very difficult to do in the past. Okay. You would, sorry. So let's say you wanted to work with a student who wants to improve themselves, their English in the tech world, and you don't understand anything about the tech world. But now with AI, you can actually create, it's easy to create a lesson that is gonna fit that student. This is actually one of the things that has really helped me and has made me stand out from the other teachers because I'm able to personalize lessons according to the student need. If they want to practice English for HR purposes, I can create lessons with that. And this is all because of AI. Okay. So you're moving from being just a teacher and then you're moving from to being a coach. Okay. You don't, it's not like the traditional way of teaching. Here, AI gives you all that material and support, and your job is only to motivate the student, to guide them, to keep them accountable, and to help them apply English in real world. So um, it's not going to replace the teachers. It's going to actually help the teachers' work even become more meaningful, all right, and increase that demand. So again, the question is, how will you position yourself to grow with these changes? Okay. All right. Moving on. Let me sip my water. Yes. Now, I've gotten a lot of messages about this, the imposter. There's something called imposter syndrome. Okay. And I think every professional goes through this at some point. You might get a new position in your company, let's say, and then you feel like you're not qualified or you're not capable for this position. You start thinking like that. There's something subconsciously behind in your mind, you know, that voice that telling you that you're not ready, you're not enough, you're not experienced enough to do this. This is what we call actually imposter syndrome, right? You feel like a fraud, that feeling of feeling like a fraud. So for you, how do you deal with imposter syndrome, or how do you deal with any type of fear? Okay. What psychologists or experts recommend, they tell you, you know, to write it down, to name that fear. Okay. So if you name something, it becomes easy to deal with. So if you understand this imposter syndrome, it becomes, you find solutions on how to deal with. All right. So there are common fears teachers have, and these are some of the practical way you can overcome them. The first one is fear of inadequacy. Okay. You feel like my accent, I've had this before, my accent isn't like a native speaker. What am I going to do about this? Student would prefer native speakers than me. But the thing is, actually, Kenyans, we have an advantage because our accent is very clear and neutral. I've had students coming to me and telling me they used to have British teachers and they couldn't understand them, or they used to have US teachers and they couldn't understand them because of their accent. So They would, when I start lessons with them, they'll say, "Oh, your accent is very clear, it's very neutral. I can understand you very well." So this is an advantage we have as a Kenyan. Okay. The other thing you might say, like, I don't know every single English rule. And to be honest, nobody knows this. Okay. And if you know them, sometimes you even forget. Even the natives, they don't know all grammar rules. So you can always Google for these type of grammar rules. Let's say a student asks you that question during the class. You ask you about what are relative clause, and you don't remember what a relative clause is or how it works, or the structure of relative clause. You can always find a way to divert that question. You can tell them, like, look, this is a very long topic, so I don't want us to get into that, but we will do it in a other lesson. Okay. And then you go, you prepare, you do it in the next lesson. So this is an easy way. It seems like a simple solution, but it works all the time. The other thing is teaching ability fields. So you're like, we've spoke about this. I've never taught before and I don't know how. If you're worried about this, you can watch. There are countless of teachers online on YouTube. You can watch their lessons and you don't need to watch a lot of lessons. You can watch a couple of them and then you can get, the idea of how teaching works. So you can do this and overcome that fear. And then the other thing is students wouldn't respect me as a teacher, maybe because of how you look. You might be looking younger or something like that. So the first thing is to do is present yourself professionally from the very beginning. Okay. How you dress, how you prepare for the lessons, how you speak with them from the very beginning. You can set that tone from the very beginning, and then students will respect you. The other thing is the technology and platform fears. So I'm not good with computers. You might say that. To be honest, you don't need to know a lot of things. You only just need to know how to operate Zoom, and Zoom is simple. There are not so many other software you need to know how to use them. Okay. And when it comes to these online teaching platforms, just pick one or two and then get used to those ones first. If you can manage to understand how one works, then the other ones will become very easier to navigate. Okay. So with Zoom, if you're scared of speaking with somebody online, you can just always test this with your friend and just get that feeling and be prepared. Okay. So yeah, that's how we can deal with technology and platform fears. The other is the business and competition fear. So somebody might say, I'm gonna invest a lot of time, and I've heard this before, like I'm putting a lot of time and I might not get students at the end of the day. So the best thing to know how if this thing is working or not is not 1 month is not enough. 2 months is not enough. You need at least 3 months to get real results. Oh, my Kikuyu is like kicking in very hard. So you need at least 3 months, set that aside, and then work tirelessly and consistently. And then if you don't see results in those 3 months, then you will understand that this is not working. But 1 month is not enough. 2 months is not enough. Teaching online isn't a real job. Well, I can tell you this for sure, that you can make it your own main income. All right. Um, I know people, I myself, I earn more than 150,000 Kenya shillings in a month. And I know 10 other people who earn that amount. So it can be your main income. So, and I am only teaching in the evenings because I have another job that I'm doing during the day. And in the evening, I'm only teaching and I'm able to get into that amount. So If you take it as your real-time gig, you can even earn more than that and have a very comfortable and sustainable income. Okay. So my question is, which of these fears or this imposter syndrome you feel that you have and it's stopping you from starting? You can write the answer on the chat. You see? Yeah. Competition, competition. Okay. Why competition? Any specific reason? Fear is about the certificate needed to teach. Okay. Actually, that's a very interesting perspective. So, I don't have any certificates. Yes, I don't have any certificates. Um, but maybe this is because I work, I have my own thing, but there are lots of platforms that don't require those certificates. There are some platforms require those, but there are plenty of platforms that don't require those certificates. That is one. And second, these certificates don't have to do with anything with teaching. Okay. They don't make you a better teacher than the rest. It's just that there's a formality that is there. Okay. But if you really have to have a certificate, you can go, there's a website called Teacher Record. You can get there a free TEFL certificate. It's accepted in many platforms. You can use that one. You can start with that one for starters. And then later, as you make more money, then you can go for other expensive, other costly certificates and then improve like that. But for starters, find those platforms that don't require the certificates. And then if you're not able to get the certificate, if you want the certificate, you can start with the free one. Like I said, I'll drop the link on the group. You can go to that website, take their courses, it's free, and then you can begin from there. Okay, not being able to give prices. What do you mean by that? Can you explain that? I have a teacher's record certificate and it doesn't have a good rep. Okay. Yes, like I said, um, don't rely on that certificate because let me actually, if I can show you um, TEFL, so certification. So if you go to this website, for example, there are different of websites giving different TEFL certificate. And all TEFL certificates are not the same. You'll find like if you're taking from this institution, their certificate is that there's no standardization, okay? And this is actually a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. It's good because some platforms don't actually they wouldn't specify where they need the TEFL certification to come from. So you can find a cheaper institution that offers TEFL certificate. You can get that there. Or like I said, you can go to Teachers Record and get that one for free. So that could be an advantage. But there are some platforms that are more institutionals and they require you to have a set TEFL. And this day, a TEFL certification is not important because TEFL in general doesn't have a good reputation. So they require you to have something they call CELTA certification. Okay. This is another certification that they have started asking, and it's much more expensive. So unless you have money to invest in this, I can't see the price. Let's look at the price. Find a website that has the price. I can write here. Prices. Let's go here. Let's see if we can find prices. So yeah, you can see this is TEFL and TESOL. It goes for almost $600. Hiyo ni pesa ngapi ya Kenya? $600 times 120 or something. You get the number. So if you can't really afford this and you can find cheaper options, there are some other things that can help you, like how you do your profile, how you do your intro video, how you set the photo, even like how you set your profile in these platforms. These are huge advantages for you. So students themselves will not ask you for TEFL certificates. Okay, they care about how good you are as a teacher. Okay, but like I said, there are platforms that require these certificates. Don't start with those ones. Start with platforms that don't require these certificates. There's I don't know if they have this. Let's look. TEFL jobs. I can show you here what platforms require certificates and what platforms don't require certificates. Okay, online teaching. Let's see. Can go here. So here they have listed the platforms that require TEFL. You can look at this one, see the ones that don't require. For example, Amazing Talk. Talker doesn't require TEFL qualification. You can apply for this. Cambly also doesn't require TEFL certification, and it's also it does not. Yes, so you can apply for these ones, and then if you earn more money, get a CELTA or a real quality TEFL certificate and move like that. Okay. Yes. Competition, considering the internet has opened up to the world, there'll be a lot of people looking at the same opportunity. Yes, so it's true. So if we go to Preply, I mean, the competition is high, and I won't deny that. I don't want to log in. So if you go to Preply, you'll see how many English tutors are there. There are like 3,600 English tutors, okay? And new tutors are always registering to this platform. So what you need to do here is pick a niche. Don't say generic stuff, okay? Differentiate yourself from other tutors. And this is easy to do, okay? If you look at the majorities of tutors here, they're all saying the same thing, all right? and some of them don't look professional. So you need to find what is that one thing that will make me look different and, make me stand out, and then double down on that one. So like I said initially when I started, that's why I started with those big numbers. It wasn't just to scare you, but it's to give you a big picture to see. So I said they're almost I've even forgot the number myself. Let me let me get back to my notes. Um, so here, okay, there are 2.5 billion English learners in the world. All right. So this demand is pretty much high. Okay. Sometimes you'll find there are not even enough quality teachers to actually cover this demand. All right. So it's important. The question shouldn't be if there is a market or the competition. It's important how you position yourself. How are you going to position yourself so that you're going to attract students? All right. That should be the worry. Okay. What's the name of the site? Which site are you asking? Are you talking about teacher record? Somebody has written um, on the chat there, you can see teacher record if you're asking for that site. Okay. All right. So let's move on, and then we're gonna have, after this section, we can have a Q&A question. Okay. All right. So now we've come to the most important part of this webinar. You need to have a clear plan and for income and a clear plan for implementation. You need to know where you're going to start and the type of KPIs you're going to have so that you don't get burnout very easily. Okay, so this means that you need to understand the trade-offs between time, rate, and income. Okay, so there are three blueprints I designed for people to start. You can start with the starter blueprint, or you can start with the growth blueprint, or you can start with the expansion blueprint. Okay, the most logical way to start is to start with the starter blueprint, because this is purely 100% platform based. So you're relying on the platforms. You're signing in certain English teaching platforms, and then you're uploading your profile, and then you're waiting for the platform to give you students. Okay, different platforms work different way. All right. So here the advantage is you have zero marketing. You're not doing any marketing. No marketing is required. The only marketing you have to do is make sure you present yourself very well, and then the platform will send students your way. The other thing is payment security. The platforms handle that. You don't need to worry about transactions and all, how students are going to pay you, how you're going to request money from the students. The platform is handling that, is doing that. So the other thing is the platform has already built credibility. It's known, for example, Preply is known worldwide. Okay, so they have that credibility, and when a student who comes there, he knows that I'm going to find what I'm looking for. Okay. The other point is it's low risk. You don't need an investment. I saw somebody saying they need an investment on a mic. Actually, if you have a good computer that has a good microphone, you're good to go. Okay, you don't need this expensive. I'm not using any mic right now. It's just from my camera and all that. So here you have a global reach. Okay, you can reach students. You see those markets we talked about, Asia, Europe, Latin America. You can get students from everywhere. So this is how this looks like. So you also need to have a strategy on how to work with these platforms. First, you need to pick a primary platform. This means the main platform where you're going to be putting your time in. So 60% of your time should go to that platform. Make sure you open a calendar there and you're spending much time on that platform. It could be Calmly, it could be Preply, or it could be any other platform, okay? And then pick a secondary platform that you can create your profile. And also 30% of your energy and time could go there, okay? And then you can have a third platform, which is you're just testing to see if there's any reaction there, okay? But the common mistake here, what people make is that they spread themselves too thin. They have like 10 platforms, and then they're not able to keep up with all these platforms. So when a student sends you a message in one of the platforms, you're not able to see that. And if you don't reply on a certain amount of time, the platform is gonna make your profile invisible. Okay? So there's the way the algorithms of the platforms work. You need to be mindful about that. Okay. The other also mistake could be somebody wrote me a message the other day, and they say they're in Preply and they're not getting student. Then I ask them, have you tried other platforms? And then they haven't tried other platforms. So don't also stick with one platform. Find other platforms. Yes. Other thing is whenever you get a lesson or a trial lesson, make sure you're asking the students for testimonials. This is very important. Okay, let's look at what a testimonial look like in this platform. So I'm going to find a tutor, a random tutor. Let me see. Choose one of these area. From Kenya. Okay. Normal preference. This. Okay. Why is it taking time? No, I don't want to set a profile here. Oh, okay, let me show you from another window. Can see that. We can get, okay. Yeah, my screen. So we have John here. He's a Kenyan tutor and he's charging $8. Okay. So he has done this number of hours, and you can see John has testimonials. So people have written, I've given him testimonials. So if I'm a student and I'm coming to your profile, I'm gonna look at the testimonials. What are people saying about John? And then if I see something that I like, I know John is legit. I can give him my money. Okay. So ask for this testimonial. Don't just do the lesson, finish with the student, and then let them go like that. Ask for these testimonials. But for you to ask for testimonials, you have to make sure that you have satisfied the student. Okay. So these things help the algorithm. They make your profile visible. If you fail to do these things, then your profiles become invisible and you won't get students. Okay. All right. Let's get back. Not here. Back to our notes. So, like I say, have a KPI. Make sure you're tracking your movements. Know what you're doing. Don't just create a profile and then leave it there. Make sure that at least to understand that you're having progress, you have to make sure that you have 3 or 5 trial lessons in a week. Students are booking you for trial lessons in a week. Okay. If you're doing these trial lessons, make sure you're converting these potential students to your students. So if 10 students do trial lesson with you, make sure at least 30 or 50 of them are becoming your permanent student. This shows that you're doing the right thing, okay? Also, set a time. It's important to set the number of hours. Be clear with that. The numbers of hours you can teach in a week, okay? So this is the first step. You can start here, and then you can move to the next step. This is the growth blueprint. So here you're mixing the platforms and you're slowly creating your personal brand, okay? But to do that here, let's say you're spending 60% on the platform and then 40% of your time you're doing your personal brand. There's a trade-off here, okay? Here you need to invest a bit. You need to invest time on your marketing. This could be your TikTok. This could be your Instagram, doing videos there, showing people that you're teaching English, finding Facebook groups, trying to find students from those sources and so forth. Also money, you might need to do paid ads. Okay, so you might need to spend some money there, and skills, like I say, basic social media marketing and all that. Okay, so these are different things, but the key strategy here is you can set your own rate. You can optimize your rate. It's not like with the platforms where you have like a ceiling. Some platforms don't allow you to set more rates, and also some platforms have their own rate and it's constant, so that can limit you. But when you're having your own brand, you can set your own rates. You can also specialize. You can decide to teach, pick a niche, and then become a specialist in that niche. Okay, so this is the second blueprint. And the third blueprint, this is where I am. And this is fully entrepreneurial. Okay, so you are not dealing with the platforms anymore. You are dealing with your own brand. So the risk here is high, and it might take you time to build that brand. But once you get there, the rewards are very good. You can charge, you can work for less hours, and you can charge a very good amount, okay? And here you can work with corporates, companies. There's some companies um, they usually have a budget for their workers, for training their workers. So they'll have a budget for training their workers to learn English. So if you have a good brand, it's known, you can apply to this company and then you can work with these companies. Okay, so you have multiple income. Yeah, you have multiple income streams. So you can also do digital products like create, because people now trust your brand, you can create, let's say, an ebook, okay, for, let's say, grammar for IELTS, and then you can sell that. You can create pre-recorded videos because students now know you and you have students. You can create pre-recorded lessons, sell it to them, or sell it to other students. So here it needs a lot of work. The trade work is here. You need a lot of work and you need a bit of at least marketing skills. So these are the three ways you could start. Okay. It doesn't have to be here and start from anywhere else, but just understand the trade-off. So before we get to the Q&A question, there's a tool I created and I want to show you how this thing is related to the number of hours you put. Just give me a second. Okay. Was it here? Yes. Okay, more here. Hmm. So I have an income calculator here, and I want to show you how this thing works so you can get a picture. So let's say you're like John here, okay? John is charging $8 per hour, and this is almost, say, 1,000 Kenya shillings, okay, per hour. And John here has 10 lessons in a week. He's able to put 10 hours for teaching English in a week. Okay. And in these 10 hours, he's full. He has students for these 10 hours. So, and the platform, if you're working with platforms, they usually charge, they have their own rate. So if you're charging $8, the platform is gonna take a percentage of that. Okay, for Preply, for example, they start with, was it 22%? They're taking 22% of your $8. Okay, so let's put the platform rate here. Okay, no 22, not 12. So you can see the gross monthly income for John is 40K. Okay, and if you remove the platform fee, the 22%, John is only left with 31,200 Kenya shillings. If John he's planning to get 50K in a month, this is his monthly goal. John can make, is this, yes, he's planning to get 50K in a month, his target. There's a gap of 18,000, okay? So John needs at least to add 5 hours in a week on this 15 hours in a week, or John needs to increase his hourly rate. So instead of $8, instead of 1,000 Kenya shillings, he should charge somewhere here, 1,470 or 1,500. Okay. So to reach that, if John does that, he can be able to get his monthly target. So it's either you increase the number of hours or you increase the hourly rate. Okay. So this is how this works. So you can use this calculator and kind of have your target, see how much it's going to be sensible for you to start, put that, see the numbers, how they work, and then work according to that. Okay. So if you need to add 5 hours in a week, add those 5 hours. Try to fill those 5 hours in a week so that you can reach your monthly income target. Okay. So if you're charging 2,000, and this is possible, there's some teachers who are charging 2,000, but you have to be really good to charge this amount, okay? And you're having 20 hours per week. Yes, you can see you're almost nearing, you've already passed 100,000 Kenya shillings in a month, okay? So it's easy to get there. It's easy to reach to that income. So if you say, when I say I made 1,000,000 Kenya shillings, people usually think in a year, they think like, oh, it's very difficult to get there. But actually, if you see it, it's not that difficult to get there. Okay. Yes. So I'm gonna leave you time for Q&A. You can ask me any questions, and then I'll answer that, and then I'll move forward in presenting my course. Yes, I'm waiting for your questions. Okay. So when you said you have to spend 60% of your time on particular platform, does that mean you have to be always online? Not really. You don't have to be always online, but be there as much as you can. Make sure you're looking at the platform. Make sure you're having activities in the platform. Make sure that, let's say you put your profile, you created your picture, you created your profile, and you've seen this profile is not working. Okay, change that, tweak some things, like be active in that way. That's what I meant in that way. Okay, but most of the time, make sure you're spending time on the platform. So the algo is gonna show, okay, this teacher is available and is always working. We ask in the chat bot, or can you unmute the mic? Yeah, you can ask, you can unmute the mic and ask the questions. Nelly, you can unmute and then ask.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Hope you can hear me clearly.
Mhm.
Yes, my question is about there is an email you sent me. It was talking about placing ads on Instagram and Facebook and all that. So I was asking, how did you do that? Because personally, I want to go that route. I've been teaching on Preply and I have some few students from China, but now I want to start that journey of marketing myself online in these social media pages. And I want to know, how did you place the ads and all that? Yeah.
Okay, so I have I actually have explained that. Did you receive my PDF?
Mhm. Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
a free PDF. So I
Yes.
explained that there how I did step by step. If you want for me to help you with this personally, actually this is part of my course. I have a segment here because I feel it's deep. I can't really explain to you in 5 minutes. I have a whole segment in my course. I show you how to place the ads and what you need to do, because it's not only simply placing ads. These ads have to offer, they have to have a specific offer. What are you asking for? And you can do also webinars. So I get into this, all these steps into my course. So it will be good if you could register for my course, and then I can be able to help you personally with that. But for now, what I can tell you is pick a niche. Okay. So for example, what are you teaching on Preply now? What are your students? Which area
Mm.
you focusing on?
Okay, for example, right now I have a student, they're mixed, they're mixed grammar, business,
Mhm.
yeah, and kids. Yeah, but majorly, my portfolio has a lot of kids more than
Mhm.
adults. Yeah,
Mhm.
but I've figured out also with kids, kids you have they subscribe from a lot for a longer period, I can say maybe for a
Mhm.
year. The parent tells you, I want you to teach my kids for 1 year, 2 years, which is good compared to adults. So I don't know, but for on Preply, it's just they're
Mhm.
mixed. Yes.
So if you see the demand is coming from kids, I would ask you to, because you need to, when you're in social media, there's a lot of noise, okay? When you're doing ads, there's a lot of noise, and you need to speak to specific uh, audience. Don't try to speak to adults, and at the same time you're speaking to kids. You need to pick one niche. So that should be your first step. Pick a niche, and then create videos about that niche. If you're teaching kids, create videos about their kids. So when people are looking for a tutor, they go for that person, that specialist. Okay, you don't just go to a general doctor. If you're having a brain issue, you go to a neurologist, right? Is that the correct word? So you go to a neurologist. So have that authority first, pick one niche, and then build on that. I started with IELTS, okay, and I was doing the material that I was creating was only simply for IELTS courses. And then I made sure that okay, now stabilize in the IS market, and then I could move to other market. But I didn't go to teaching on kids. I just continue teaching business English because they're close to each other. So you need to pick one niche and then start from there. Start from there and building your social media or online presence through it. The other thing is, so if you're moving from here to here, you can also move from here to here. What you can do is you have these students already on TEFL and sorry, not on TEFL or Preply. Ask for referrals. And when you're asking for referrals, they shouldn't come through the platform. Tell them you have started your own thing if you can, without the platform really detecting that. And then have the students on the side. They come through your brand. So if parents likes you and they're recommending other parents to you, they shouldn't recommend them through the platform. They should recommend them through your personal brand. So that's actually an easier way to start. If you start with that, because this job is built on referrals. So if you get one student, they like your lesson, they'll just say there's this teacher, Nelly online, and I like her, then the parents will recommend other parents to you. So you can do that. You can keep the platform and then try to get students from there. The new students, they come through your own personal brand. That could be an easier way too. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Another question?
No, I'm okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's say I'm setting up my profile and I mention my degree not related to teaching. Though, is it a bop or a flop? Okay, this is a good question. At the beginning, like I said, what makes you a good language teacher is not the technical side, is your experience. So if I can show you my website and my profile, I think I'll answer your question better. Give me a second. Endorsed. It's taking time to load. Okay, so this is my website. And if you go to About Me, I have mentioned here that I've worked in different fields. I worked in engineering, I work in defense, I work in international trade. So actually, you coming from a different field actually is what makes you different. That's actually a teaching identity. I have a section like that about creating teaching identity. So you can use that, your field, to help attract the right students. So when somebody is reading about me, they know, oh, okay, this person worked in engineering, this person worked in defense, this person worked in international trade. So if I'm an engineer, I feel like I'm gonna have a better conversation with this person. If I am a medical student and then I see that, oh, you studied medical, I feel like I'm gonna feel close to you. If I like yoga, and I've mentioned that in my profile or my introduction video, and then there's a student who came to my profile and then see this teacher likes yoga, they're gonna relate to that. So that's actually what makes you unique. Instead of you saying, I've been teaching for 6 years, my class are fun and friendly, and I have this experience and that and that and that, it's boring, okay? But if you say like, I have a medical degree background and I've done this, and if I'm a medical student, I'm gonna click with you right away. So it's not a flop. You can add that on your profile. Any other questions? Wow, you guys don't have questions. I'm giving you chances to ask me questions. Chatting. All right, if they're not other questions, so allow me to tell you how my course is gonna go. There are some people who asked, they wanted detail about my course. So after this section, I have a section called Finding Your Teacher Identity. I answered, this help you answer that question of how are you gonna position yourself? What makes you stand out from all the other thousands of teachers out there? You have to come with a unique identity, okay? And you shouldn't sound very generic. Like if you say, my class helps students improve their English, my class are fun, and this is very generic. 1,000 other teachers are saying this. So I help you use your unique experience and your unique ID, and I help you to create, this section helps you to create a unique profile. And this teaching identity is built on 4 pillars. So we will cover that at the course. And then how do you package your methodology to the students and present it to the students, okay? And then we go through the CEFR framework. It's very important. This helps you understand student levels, and it helps you create lesson according to the student level. We cover that, and I show you how to plan your lessons so that they become interesting and you get to understand students before, beyond their professional, the job. You get to understand them in a more psychological way, and this could help you keep a student for a very long time. I've had students that have stayed with me for 2 years, and this is because I really, really got deep into understanding what they need, and I've curated my lesson according to that. So that's gonna help you that. And then we do a sample mini lessons to the class where you present your lesson. Then I give you feedback about that. After that, we come to the platforms. There are 3 categories. I've categorized the platforms into 3. I help you understand each platforms and what they need and how you should do, what you should tackle them, the success formula, and so forth. And here, then I help you with profile optimization. How can you position yourself? How can you stand out and get noticed by students that are coming to the platform by creating a video, a bio, and so forth. And there's another section I help you get your first student, actually deal with the algorithms of how each and every platform work. Then we continue, move on like that up to yes, the last section is I teach you how to create your solo academy. If you want to move independently away from the platform, I teach you how to do that. And this is the blueprint I used by myself. I got from 0 into spending money on ads that did not work until I got my first 2 students who paid me 30 Kenya shillings. And then I move on to 150 Kenya shillings plus by June. And it has slowly increased like that. So I give you the full blueprint on how to do that and how to get there. Okay. So I started